and all those water cooler chats, or those fights around your desk, or the person coming around and spinning the little wheel on top of your head, all that's done now in Slack.
Yeah. Well, Slack became the circulation system for the Times. It was like the bloodstream. It was how the whole company communicated.
Listeners exactly what Slack is. Tell us what it is, and then what it was like.
What it is a workplace chat software, pretty basic. You chat with your colleagues. In practice, though, the interesting thing that happens that's very different from chatting in your office is that you have these big all-company Slack rooms, and anyone can post in them. And so you've got a Slack channel with 4,000 New York Times employees, and everyone has equal ability to post in it. And so as 2020, then 2021 heated up, what you saw was that the revolution that we all lived through, that the kind of closing of the journalist's mind, whatever you want to call it, a lot of it was executed via Slack. And because anyone could post in it, there's a flattening of the hierarchy. So the editor-in-chief is just a Slack message, and so is a third-rate editor and the Wirecutter team who's reviewing spatulas. They kind of have equal voice in this 4,000-person Slack room.
Or a tech person,
exactly. Or someone who's working on, debugging the app or whatever. They all kind of have equal voice all of a sudden. And that sounds really cool. You're like, oh my God, equality of voices. Everyone can chime in. That's great. But what happened was a lot of these people, it turned out, really, really didn't like journalism and didn't like that the old guard refused to be good party members. So they were in these huge Slack channels, absolutely like reaming our top political writers, like Haberman. That one was written about, but Maggie Haberman and others would be like insulted in these huge Slack channels. And it was like, how dare you do that? But then these top political reporters would have to engage and like get involved. And it was the way the revolution began to police. Because even if you know this person is the person who reviews spatulas for Wirecutter, I don't know who that person actually is. This might be a great person. And I love Wirecutter.
It's an important job. Yes.
But even if you know this person's like, 23 and not involved in actual journalism, it's still really humiliating. And so every day was kind of a thunderdome in the giant all-company Slack channel where stories were dropped in and would be criticized and would be debated. And it'd be like, where's the reporter to respond to our criticism? And the thing about journalism is you're out in the world and you're doing kind of combat. And often with the kind of reporting I do, for example, sometimes people don't like it. They don't like my stories. They get really pissed off. They're mad. They don't want it to be written about. They don't want whatever. And so if you're doing that kind of work, which a lot of times reporters were and are doing, and then to have your colleagues coming at you saying in these internal Thunderdome rooms that you're a fascist and that you need to explain yourself and how did this get through, it's really hard, like emotionally, because you suddenly feel like you're getting a lot of pushback from the outside world and suddenly a lot from the inside, from people who think that what you're doing is evil.
It's a kind of internal Twitter, right? I mean, it's a Twitter within Twitter.